I was with Russ for the last little bit of time that I had my yellow car. I remember that because one of Russ' friends became an associate of mine. I say associate because he is the main one of Jay's, my ex from Fort Wayne, friends that Jay had cheated on me with. I never blamed Trail, nor did I hate Trail at any point in time. I always said I'm water, Cancer, and he is fire, Sagittarius, so we are just opposites. We messed around once at my mom's house on Revere. I knew he kind of liked me, but I think he had a boyfriend at the time named Jay. This was so long ago. I'm 35 as I'm typing this, and this is stuff from when I was 16, 17. Just thinking back at the time, Trail was kind of on the DL. People knew, but they didn't really know. There was no penetration, just oral, and this is before Jay, my ex from Fort Wayne, even came into the picture. Maybe he was upset with me that things didn't go to that next level, which is why he fucked Jay to get back at me. I don't know. I met Trail through Al. I met Trail through Al around the time I first met Al and D, so we all knew each other. Trail was the one that Al left D and I to start hanging around when I was speaking about him switching sides earlier. Later on, Al would tell me how he was mad at D and I because he felt like we went off and left him, but that was not the case though. When he switched sides, D and I became closer as friends. Al literally stopped talking to us. He did tell me about Jay and Trail though that night, and would even shade us right along with Trail and his crew. Al denies this, but baby, one thing about a Cancer, our memory is iron sharp. After the whole Jay situation, that's when it seemed like Trail was trying to compete with me. There was only one problem though. I'm not competing with anyone. I never have and I never will. I have always understood that life is a race, but the only one you are racing against is yourself. My Uncle Lewis taught me that as a young boy, so I never looked at people in a competitive way. I help people, not compete with them. I knew this at a young age. It's in my family's bloodline. Trail at that time was very materialistic, which is nothing is wrong with that, but when you look down on others, that's when it's a problem. I remember one time we went out and he actually said to me, "Bitch, you almost outdressed me tonight." That's when it was all confirmed for me that he seen me as competition. Listen to what people that are intimidated by you say to you. That is how you will know if some weirdo that you call friend is really a sneaky ass snake trying to compete. How do you compete with a person that actually wants the best for you? You bitches be weird. But see, the thing is, Trail is not the most handsome brother, and I am beautiful. I had never seen him as a competitor because I knew I looked way better than him, and I had a better personality. So I always felt like, yes, buddy, you need them labels to even feel like you can stand next to me. I was never the one going around trying to block people from getting cool with people. I don't move like that because I don't have to. Scenario: if someone who is pretty known in the city sees someone new, they might want to befriend that person, parentheses, not even on a relationship basis, just on a friendship basis. They might ask around about that person. Well, I have never been the type to hate and make up lies to sway people from becoming friends, but I cannot tell you how many times that has happened to me throughout my life. We started off cool, but Trail kind of turned the whole ordeal into a competition because at that time we were all going up to Detroit. Both sides knew people in Detroit, and to be honest, the only one that was handsome and fly out of his clique was his friend Brandon, but he is a Cancer like me, so there you go. It's weird because I have seen this happen in generations after me too, but it is what it is. It's like this. It's multiple little gay cliques in Toledo, but when the cliques go up to Detroit, instead of just being one big clique, the cliques fight each other up in Detroit. It's crazy because it's like, fight at home in Toledo. Don't try to impress the Detroit gays by seeing which clique from Toledo is the best by fighting with each other. We should all stick together, but everyone doesn't think like me. If I'm from Detroit and I see two cliques from the same city Toledo fighting in my city, Detroit, I would think y'all could have did that shit at home. Y'all look dumb as hell. That's why the Detroit gays have always looked down on the gays that come up there from Toledo. I could have I could have brought this up earlier, but I wanted to wait until I spoke about Russ to kind of loop this all in. I just want to say it was Trill for the longest time before I got with Russ who did not like me. Now, class, pay attention. I'm about to tell you how to get to a bitch's soul. I always kind of paid Terrell no attention, like literally no attention. I would see him out at the mall and walk right past him, like I did not even see him. If we were out at the club, I would pay the fuck out of him and act like he was not even there. When we did get cool, he did mention how I used to do that to him, and he would get bothered by it because I knew he was just trying to get under my skin at the time when I was with Jay, and we were all going up to Detroit. We finally talked about all of this when I got with Russ. Obviously, Trail and I became cool, or cordial, I should say. We squashed our beef. I was going because I was going to be around Russ. I even let Trail and his date put me in the back seat with Russ in my own car so he could stunt in my yellow Chevy Cobalt one night because he asked could he drive up to Detroit. That is how nice my car was, and that is why I don't compete with anyone. Even though I don't care, never really have, I know people see it for me. They just don't want me to outshine them. What's sad is the fact that I already have, and I'm being humble. I don't believe in being humble today about it, while they sulk in jealousy and hate. I have not seen Trail in years, but I do wish him the best in his life. It was through Russ that I would meet Dwight and his mom, who lived a couple houses down. Oh, and I can't forget about T, an old queen with his late ass. We stayed on Kenilworth off of Collingwood in the old West End area of Toledo. I had a few other friends that I would hang out with, like my friend Junior, David. I met Junior through D. Junior was not in the car that night I was rolling. That was a different Junior. Also, I cannot forget Saran or Darius with his crazy self. That's my dude. I miss and love Saran. That's my guy. I hope he's doing all right. I also met him through D. I am also proud of Junior and how he discovered he has spiritual gifts like me. I'm praying for you, Junior. I see you on your journey, and I pray you find the answers you are looking for. I have been blessed to have a lot of friends come in and out of my life. Many, about 98% of whom I don't speak to nor see anymore. And it's not no shade. There's no, nothing shady or nothing like that. I just moved on with my life. I stayed with one friend, Dwight, and his mom. He is almost 20 years older than me. We were just friends. We never messed around. I never messed around with Saran or Junior either. This proves I did have friends who I did not mess around with. During this time, Russ and I were no longer together, and he would eventually be on his way to South Carolina. I could not forget one of my other friends named Marco. That is my guy to this very day. Marco is the straight-looking type of dude. You would not know he is gay until he told you. He didn't like to go to the gay clubs, but he would go every now and then. He is more of the type of friend you see day to day. Those were the times, man. When I say memories, nothing sexual, just good times. Marco was my friend, but he was my stoner buddy too. We used to get so blowed. At the time, he was staying with his sister Angie, who was my girl, man. We used to kick it. We played spades, dominoes, and they would be drinking. It was just a whole vibe. And my girl Tracy, I could never forget my girl Tracy. Baby, when you hear about how black women have to hustle and grind, Tracy is the definition of that. Her daughter dated my brother, young Mike. So let's just say I heard a lot of crazy stories about my brother. Anyway, Dwight was my best friend at the time. Today, I never knew what became of Dwight. I do thank him for the love he showed me. It was Dwight that kind of gave me that final shove in the right direction. I felt like the Most High saved my experience living with him for last. He showed me what I would become as I got older if I did not change. Dwight harbors a lot of hate in his heart, which has kept him down. He has excuses for all the things that he just knows won't happen in his life, in my opinion. One thing I can say, he was right about going to church. Dwight hated going to church, and he doesn't read the Bible that often. He would always say he does whenever I would say, well, you should still at least read the Bible. I pray for him and his family. Somewhere during this time, I met another guy that I actually loved. He was a tourist, but he doesn't get the privilege of being named in my book. But if he was to read this, he would call me a dirty Mexican and say I already said his name. It's the same name as my first boyfriend. I'm still not going to say his name. Today, I don't hate him, but I don't miss him either, in the sense of getting back with him. I knew this boy because our families went to church together. I never expected to be with him because one time we, Trail, me, and D, I think D was there too, had got into it with him and two other dudes at Russ' house. Yes, he was one of Russell's so-called friends, but Russ was not even in Toledo during this time, and we were done anyway. I could see why they were friends though. They both had huge ass dome heads. What is it with me and all my dudes having big ass heads? I don't know, but it does seem to be a common theme that all my dudes be having big ass heads. The tourist and I ended up getting close though, or at least I thought we were, or at least I thought we did. Maybe not. I really don't know because tourist men can hide their feelings so well, but it always backfires in their face. I don't know if he had love for me or not. If I had to guess, I would say no. Most tourist men don't like to communicate how they feel unless it's some kind of trap that they are trying to catch you up in or food. I always felt like he would rather hang out with his friends than do stuff with me. At least that is what he showed. Their friends will know this about them, tourists, and use it against their relationships. I moved in with him and tried to help him the best I could, but this ninja was planning on moving back in with his parents. I remember telling him we could do this. I'm working at the hospital. I'm making enough money to help you with the rent and the bills. I can't pay all the bills. We could do this. But nope. He was a lazy ass tourist and he had his mind set to go freeload off his parents, so there was nothing I could really do. His excuse he was going to use because his girl best friend moved out. And I'm sure he probably added some more to it. But the main point is we could have made it. Today, even after what he did, I don't hate him, but like I said, I definitely don't want to be friends or lovers. Some more pics of me and some friends from around that time. This is me when I had hair. Boy, it was fine. R.I.P. Dorian. That was my guy. Love Dorian. And Calvin. Hope Calvin is doing alright. Me. Even then, the clothes were still a little baggy. I do notice the difference back then and now. That face and that body, oddy. Baby, when I tell you, always been on point. Now my style is too. I love my style. No one will ever stop me from looking amazing and feeling great. Be savage, not average. I was with Russ. Like I said, be savage, not average. For a time when I worked at the hospital, I would walk from Airport and Reynolds where I live with the tourists, to Ottawa Park, which the hospital I worked at is right across from that park. It will take me 3 hours to get there. I will put on my music and I will get it done. I will stop at Queen's house on the way to get me something to drink or eat. She stayed not too far from Ottawa Park, which is right next to the hospital. I didn't have it as easy as people thought I did, but I was used to walking. I would walk everywhere from Doran Collinwood to the old Southwick Mall location out by Reynolds, and I would also walk to the east side, even to Oregon one time for a drug test to get a job that I did not even get. During the 7 year period, 2009 to 2015, I did have my wins. I was working at the hospital. Eventually, I got my own place, and I had two cars during that time period. After I moved from our airport in Reynolds, I moved in with Queen for a while. I was still working at the hospital. This was from 2009 to 2012 when I moved into a nice ass 2 bedroom apartment for $350. It was right down the street from Queen. I think by then I was driving my first car of that time frame, which was a Ford Escort. I was still dating a tourist off and on. I even offered him to come stay with me. This was while he was staying with his parents. I remember one time I got into a fight with some bums next door who kept breaking into my house being a nuisance. One of the boys liked me. He was not my type at all. I found this out after the whole ordeal. He was DL, but one of his friends said they were always wondered about him because he would say and do weird shit. When a straight man says he would say and do weird shit about another man, that's their way of saying dude is gay. He broke into my house and I noticed nothing came up missing, not even my weed or blunts, but my underwear. He was definitely not my type, but I was working night shift at the hospital at the time that this was all happening. So one night I left work early around 3 a.m. and I saw that somebody had put a table next to my window. I went into the house, made sure everything was good, and then went down the street to Queens. As I was walking back to my house, here came the four dudes that I know had broken into my house once already, coming around the corner up the street. I started to dog all four of them. People think I'm soft until they piss me off. By this time, Queen must have heard what was going on because she came down. I punched my neighbor in his shit and we started fighting. I was beating his ass. None of them expected that from me. Shit, I didn't either because I don't like to argue and fight. I told you, I don't know where it comes from. This was the fight that Queen jumped in because I was beating the one dude up, so his friends jumped in. The next day, the tourists came over, walked next door, and none of the boys would not come off the porch. These were not small dudes. Only one out of the four was my size. The reason why I punched a boy in his mouth because I took care of his dad up at the hospital before his dad passed away. So even if it wasn't him breaking in, which I believe he was, he still should have had enough respect for someone that took care of his father. When the tourists would do stuff like this, it would confuse me. Like, why do you even care? That's how I felt. Or you care enough to fight for me, but not enough to be with me. Okay, got it. The apartment was big as hell. It had 2 big bedrooms. I did want him to come, but I just always feel like people want me to chase and beg them to be in their lives. I'm not going to beg anybody to be in my life or theirs. If you can't see that I love you and I want to be with you, then hey, that's on you. During this time of me being on and off with my ex, the tourist, I was getting tested regularly, even though I was only sleeping with him, but each time it came back negative. DJ played Get Along With You on repeat. I ended up moving because the property had been bought by someone else, and after the bums broke into my place twice, I was ready to move anyway. My second car I had during that time was a 2005 white Chevy Cavalier. I was actually taking Kiki and her former friend Dre, rest in peace, somewhere at the time, and it was snowing. I hit something crossing the railroad tracks and it slit the oil pan on the bottom of the car. All the oil spilled while I was driving, which caused the engine to lock up. It was going to be too much to fix, so I let it get repossessed. I had my downs as well. I told you about me being homeless, the boys breaking into my apartment, the walking, difficulty finding a good paying job, health issues, and car trouble. I was still chilling with my ex, but I was not getting tested like I should have towards the end. Today in 2023, I don't fully place blame on him. Even though he ran like a coward, he probably was scared of his business coming out. I really don't know because we never had that talk. One day he just up and said he was moving, and a month or two later he had moved. After he left, I did get sick, which prompted me to go get tested, and it came back positive. DJ play I Hate You So Much Right Now by Khalees. By this time, my ex was gone, I was broke, homeless, no car, and now I had just found out that I had HIV. That day, I knew my life would never be the same, but I remember this feeling of it's not over. I called my mom and she was sad. She was scared, but she still comforted me. I called my dad and he said, "That's what happens when two men sleep together." I would never forget those words. That is when I truly knew I was hated by my own dad. What type of person acts like that towards their own flesh and blood? So, yeah, I had a dad in my life, but he was a karmic cycle all by himself. I even considered doing a past life regression to see, damn, did I do something to this man in a past life or something? I mean, what is it? But today, I don't even care. By the end of 2014, I was desperate. I would always walk downtown in the summer and sit by the water. Sometimes Dwight would be with me. I was back living couch to couch. I thought about suicide because things were bad. I could never bring myself to do that. It always felt like a cheap way out. I was jealous because all the other people around me were getting good jobs and making money. My family was doing well, all but me. One day I was in church on Sunday. My uncle was preaching and the Most High spoke to my spirit. By this time, I was staying in between my grandma, Dwight, and Queen's house. I had already been watching videos about how Hollywood really gets down and the Illuminati. I started to read the Bible. I had never really read it before, and man, it was like a fuse being lit. I was laying on my grandma's bees. I was laying on my grandma B's white couch. You know your granny loved you if she let you sleep on her white couch. And by the end of the book of Exodus, I said to myself, this is us. This is just how black people act today. I remember running in my grandma's room to ask her questions, but she could not answer my questions, which led me to my pastor. To be honest, I was not satisfied with his answers to my questions. There was another pastor that could not give me complete answers either, and I was starting to grow tired. I started to question, do these people really know this Bible? Why can't they answer my questions? And if you want to know, just this is a side note, if you want to know what my questions is or was, I already did a video. And on the video, it said something like, saying to have a few questions. Those were the questions that I was asking these people. So, um, he did not use scripture to show me his points, which were very vague anyway. As I was talking, he even dozed off a few times. This is why I say some sort of spell is on people. Being in the truth is like being out of the matrix. So I just ended the conversation, but I continued to search because I just knew it was more to the Bible than what these pastors was teaching. Later, I will come to understand that all this time I was being prepared for what you are reading right now. My uncle gave me what he knew, and it was time for me to find the rest. Cool, that is what I did. That is when I turned to YouTube and came across the first video that broke the ice. The same video for most of us that came into the truth. It was Brother Yerushalayim video, a Negro guy with a bald head and glasses. Man, I pray for our brother. You will find some of his lessons in my book. It has been on and popping from then. If I was not at my grandma's house, I would be staying with my former friend Dwight. I remember I was going into the closet to pray and talk to the Most High. I figured since we are to follow the Bible as it is written, then I would do what Matthew 6, 5 through 6, King James Version says. I started fasting and praying. I studied, and like I said, I was so moved, and I had started learning so much that I had to start writing down what I was learning. This was so new, so fresh. I felt so rejuvenated, and I still do to this day. I started changing how I think and how I respond to things, whether it be negative or positive. I tried to keep a positive outlook, and I noticed I would have to change who I was hanging around. Not because of sexuality, but actually because of negativity and me noticing how negativity attracts bad things. Some people just don't want to elevate, and I am not one of those people. At first, I started watching TBN and the Word Channel like crazy. I was so into all the shows that dealt with biblical prophecy concerning the Israelites. False prophets like Stone Perry or Jonathan Conartis and that fat ass urban bastard who looks like Hoggish Greedley from Captain Planet.